Hi, everybody. Mark Pescatore here from Systems Contractor News. I'm joined by Cindy Davis of AV Technology. We are here at ISE 2022 in beautiful Barcelona, Spain. Want to talk to you a little bit about what we see and what we think. How you doing, Cindy?
I'm doing great. And Mark, thanks for being Mr. Microphone.
Well, that's it for the broadcasting voice. That'll be as we talk more, it just fades.
Great. So this is amazing. For my first time to Barcelona. And it's in and of itself is amazing. And I don't think anybody really knew what to expect coming into ISE. It's, we've not really been doing trade shows, and my gosh, they were anticipating under 50,000. I bet they broke that 50,000 easily. This feels like a CES. Honestly, the halls were packed. I had a hard time getting to my appointments.
It was definitely crowded in the show floor. That is for sure. Lots of people going to lots of different places. There are several halls here at ISE, and each one of them was packed.
Yeah,
which is nice.
Yeah, they really were. Truly getting from hall to hall, and actually loved Amsterdam, but I love this venue.
It is a very nice venue, and ladies and gentlemen, not from this venue, but I'm just telling you, try the paella. Really, you got to have the paella when you come next year.
When in Barcelona, you got to have
one must. But that's just my overall impression of the food. What about the actual show? Yes, definitely crowded. Definitely a lot of buzz on the show floor. A lot of people doing business, which is nice. I mean, that's what this show is all about, isn't it? Is people making connections and hopefully making some deals. And you could definitely see people not just kicking the tires, but really talking about technology and trying to make some things happen.
I agree, and I think the one thing that, unfortunately, the pandemic probably is. There's not going to be a lot of tire kickers here. I think people aren't going to go to a trade show if they're just kicking tires. If they're going to go out now, they're serious, and there's not a mask mandate in Spain right now anyway, and so it's been kind of nice, a little bit of freedom, and absolutely, a lot of people doing business. There's some of the products that we've been seeing have been out for a while, but you know what? No one's actually seen them, touched them, and felt them. And I think that really, you can do virtual shows, and it just, you have to see it, you have to touch it and feel it.
Well, it's funny you say that. There was I went to Holoplot, and they had a new product. It wasn't brand new, but it was new for the show.
Yeah.
It was the X1. They're like, well, this is our first ISE because we haven't had a chance to show it to everybody. Yep. And then I said, great, can I hear it? And they said, well, no, you're not. We're not allowed to turn it on. Because, they're in Hall 7, which, for those of you who weren't here, is the audio hall. So if everybody in Hall 7 was allowed to turn on their stuff, you wouldn't hear a damned thing. So you got to go off-site to go to the demo. But maybe an Infocom will be able to sneak over there and give it a listen. But it was a pretty impressive technology that no one's really had a chance to see or hear because they hadn't been to a trade show.
Right. So I'm thrilled. I always honestly get energized and exhausted at trade shows. We're wiped. Oh gosh! All right, we have to talk about dinner. Doesn't start until 9 at a minimum. So we're exhausted and elated at the same time because getting out. I'm always excited when I return from trade shows because you really got to connect with people. The people that you are on the phone with or, on Zoom with all day. And you get to connect with them in real time, in person. It's just that I would say is the highlight, truly, is getting to see people in person, including you, by the way.
Well, yeah, I mean, the importance of in-person is never going to go away. As far as the 9 o'clock dinners are concerned, I come from South Florida, where our senior citizens start at about 4. So this is really a culture shock for me, but I'm adjusting.
Great.
And one of the best things, there's always swag, stuff we all get at these shows. And there's still a little bit. It's not as much as it used to be. But people I got to shout out to my friends here at Blaze Audio. And why? Because they gave me hand sanitizer, which I have been carrying around for 3 days and using with some frequency.
Well, good. I'm glad you have. You'll return home COVID-free.
That's right. Absolutely. So why don't we talk about some top trends that are going on that we saw at the show?
Well, undeniably, hybrid is driving a lot of the product innovation right now, and I think you can look back to 2008 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and say, the collaboration, and collaboration has been a big part of our industry for quite a long time. But now, really, with hybrid, it's brought all that to the fore. And I think, kind of one of the biggest ones, we've all been on, whether it's a Zoom or whatever, with horrible audio, not being able to hear the people on the far end. So
What was that? What'd you say?
Wow.
See what I did there, people?
Oh no, he's brilliant.
It's hybrid everything. But no, Cindy, you're absolutely right. It's hybrid everything on this show floor. I think it's fair to say that COVID sort of moved up the timetable of collaborative technologies.
Well, it not only moved up the timetable, it went from a nice to have to an absolutely must have. Whether it's in higher education, corporate environments, anywhere really, because we've all been hearing that corporate's going back 3 days a week, which I still don't think that's going to last forever, because I can't imagine these big buildings in Manhattan going empty for 4 days of the week. But that aside, it is a buyer's market where the companies are trying to entice workers to come back to the office. So in order to do that, they have to have the technology there to make that hybrid world, near and far, equitable. And that's actually been one of the big, you'll hear that from everybody, is creating that equitable environment, both near and far. So if you want to ensure that you have a meeting that in the office, that you can collaborate with the people that are working from home, or frankly anywhere, because before COVID, it was work from anywhere. And it's whether you're traveling, I mean, there are companies that have global offices, so they need to do that. They've always needed to do this, but now all these companies, everyone, just about everybody on this floor, in this whole show, has developed a hybrid solution, whether it's cameras, or auto tracking audio, collaboration tools that actually now really go a step further. And honestly, before COVID, how many people had heard of Zoom? Now, there's hardly a company out there that doesn't have a Zoom certification, and the certifications are important. MS Teams certification. There are MS Teams of rooms products specific. Displays are going, you can see double displays for that gallery view. And Jupiter has the 21 by 9 Pana display. And that's, I think that's really very interesting. You're seeing really very different form factors that are going to really accommodate this hybrid.
Absolutely. Well, let's remember, everybody who's listening to this, it wasn't that long ago that having a Skype call was practically a novelty. Now, Skype practically doesn't exist. I mean, even Microsoft's kind of gone, just come to Teams instead. The fact that we have hybrid now was so important that it had to come to market so quickly because of COVID. It's just amazing to realize how our workflows have changed so quickly and so significantly. And so you're absolutely right. All these different companies are trying new ways to address that hybrid work environment, because it's not going away. I don't know what they're going to do in Manhattan per se, but the idea that people come in 3 days a week or 2 days a week, you may have a meeting and you have to assume that maybe 20% of the people on the meeting aren't live. They aren't there. They're on another place. Or in some companies, it's going to be 50%. And look at education. I mean, they had kids, students rather. Sorry, they were always kids to me. But you're doing distance learning. Distance learning used to be certainly not a novelty. It's been around for a long, long time. But now you're mixing or having a hybrid environment where it's live students and remote students. And again, you need it all to be equitable. And that's why they have all sorts of technologies to try and make that happen. And one of the most important things to me is the audio. You've got to make sure that the students who aren't there, or the people in a business environment who aren't there, can actually hear and participate and make sure the message isn't being lost one way or the other.
I think audio is finally getting its due, because I don't think there's anyone that hasn't, from my mother-in-law will say, what did you say? What did you say? And we'll do echo conference calls with my mom. And the audio's awful. So finally, audio's getting its due, and it's because people realize, oh gosh, I can see her, but I can't hear her. And that's what Yamaha, on one of my webcasts, will always say, A comes before V. And it really does. It's really the most important part of a video conference.
All right, well, let's jump to another trend. This one's mine. It's auto tracking.
Yes.
We said hybrid everything. Well, auto tracking is everywhere. And it's not just auto tracking in video, as we'll get to in a second. But, I mean, there are all sorts of complaints. Like Nareva, they have the new CV50 camera. Jabra's got cameras. MaxHub has cameras. And a whole lot of other companies that we just saw. If we just start listing every company, we're going to be here forever. And then we're going to miss one. That'll be bad. So I'm just giving, those are just a couple of examples. But they're auto tracking, and a lot of them auto track on the face. But some of them track based on a body type. It really depends on the technology. I feel sorry for the guys who are trying to demo this stuff on a show floor, because it's just mean to tell the AI, okay, I want you to concentrate on one face, and 20 guys are walking this way, and 10 ladies are walking this way. So you know what? We understand on the show floor that it's not working the way you want it to work, but in a more controlled environment, auto tracking can be amazing. Mm-hmm. Not everybody likes it. Not everybody likes it when you focus on one person and the camera zooms in. Some people just prefer, give me the one view, the wide view of the whole room, and be done with it. And I don't want to focus on the talking. But there are a lot of people who do like the tracking.
It has its application, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very application specific. So if there's a professor, and I think that's where one of the applications that it was really designed for is teaching environments. These big lecture halls where the professor is going to be going all over the place, and for the remote participants. And so the camera tracking really makes sense in those. And certainly now, even in big rooms. In fact, as I'm sure you're getting there, but the auto tracking is really good for, backing up here. Auto tracking cameras and audio.
Right.
Because a few years ago it was auto tracking cameras. So follow the walking professor. But now, with the rooms and trying to create that equitable environment, that auto tracking is really important. We just said audio's number one, right? So if that auto tracking camera tracks the speaker, that's great. But if the audio doesn't track them, then it's worse.
Right, exactly, and there are companies like I believe Shure was one of them.
Yeah,
there are a lot of companies that have audio tracking technologies as well. I mean, when I taught, I was the guy who stood by the podium, but there were also guys who would wander all over you couldn't.
I'm a wanderer.
Yeah, okay. Some people are the wanderers. So, and when they do, the tracking really helps. Now, in a conference room environment, it really depends. It can be a personal choice. That's what I was saying.
But in a conference room, here's where. So I just came from the Shore demo. So in a conference room, here's where it's really cool. It's not auto tracking a person; it is finding who's speaking. So and the technologies are becoming far easier to install. So Shore and I literally just came from this demo. They were showing how you could have one microphone on the ceiling, and you can set it up so that it either captures the whole room, 30 by 30 foot area. It's going to capture the whole room, or you could just say, well, I want to capture this half. I want to just capture the podium.
Zones.
Lobes, they call them.
They call them lobes.
Lobes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not just about a person talking. It's about, or if it's a conference room, you want to hear everybody in that conference room, and you really need beam steering microphones in order to really capture that. But more importantly, you don't want to hear everybody. You don't want to hear paper rustling around.
No one wants to hear that.
Exactly, like you're doing right now, and it's really annoying.
That's right.
And
I'm good at annoying.
I know you are. So anyway, you really want to make sure that you hear the people that are talking, not the banter in the background. And
well, not just banter, but there are a lot of companies now that have this technology that designed noise canceling built in.
Yes.
I saw one demo where someone would clap, and it didn't get picked up on the microphone.
Right. Yeah.
That was impressive. I had him do it a couple of times.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it the first time, but I just had to keep them working, But it was really amazing how a lot of these technologies will really shut down the audio you're not supposed to hear, such as
Right.
an
Yep.
HVAC system. No one wants to hear the air conditioner, and a lot of these audio systems will now zone out, for lack of a better
Yeah,
term.
yeah.
You shut off that zone, or you zone out
Mm-hmm.
the air conditioner, so you don't hear that constant rustle during the meetings. So yeah, all this auto tracking is great.
And we're talking about ceiling microphones. So
Right.
I mean, the fan,
It's right there.
the HVAC is could really completely wreck that. So really amazing technologies.
All right, what you got next?
Alrighty. Something we didn't talk about before, but do you know how many companies are developing home kits? These companies have they're pro audio, right? So now they're actually developing little pro audio for home. And thank God, because my camera on my iMac is just not that great. And neither is the speaker that comes out of it. So, the microphone that comes out of it, rather.
Again, talking about equitable.
Yeah, I know. There we go. Alrighty, so let's move to the video. Big video.
I like video.
We all like video. And you know what? I want a DV LED in my home because I think I need to fill my whole living room with it.
Whoa, with DV LED, you can.
I know you can.
You can fill your whole wall.
And you know what? I've got a round part of my living room, and I think it'd be stunning there.
Oh, a nice curved screen.
Absolutely. So one of the trends that we're seeing, pixel pitches still keep on coming down, and one of the interesting things, or one of the newer things that we're seeing here today was a lot of the DV LED companies are making it so that you can install these much more quickly and accurately, because accuracy is really important. I mean, how many times, since we're in this industry, how many times do you go to an airport or a mall or wherever, and you see these panels and they're not aligned, or the color's off in like a 12 by 12 inch square, and it's just horrible.
Right.
So now, companies like Barco, Samsung, Optima has done it for quite a while, and the installation time is much less, but most importantly, it's the accuracy. So they're building. Can you see my hands moving? Because
In the podcast, they can't. They can see it.
They can.
Oh,
Good. Great. Because video is most important.
Guys, trust me, they're going all over the place.
They are. So Barco, I saw they had showed me what their mounting system looks like, and they're not relying on the installer to spend hours aligning each of those panels. It's in the mounting system, and you actually, once you put the panel on, it syncs up, and it's all perfect.
Well, Samsung was bragging with their new
Yep.
series, their new The Wall series.
Yes. Yeah.
Not by Pink Floyd, but by Samsung. And they're showing that you could install DV LED in 2 hours.
Mm-hmm.
That's impressive. That's
Yep.
very impressive. And of course, the screens looked, well, in Samsung, they looked amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I started taking pictures, and then I saw the big sign that said, "Don't take pictures."
Oh.
So we're not going to share those on this podcast.
But it looked kind of like this.
Right.
It looked pretty amazing.
It looked awesome, everybody. But I'm not allowed to show you. Even if I could show you, I'm not allowed to show
Yeah.
you. But yeah, DV LED installation, because DV LED is gaining traction in the industry.
Quite a bit. The price is coming down.
Right? And there it is.
Yeah.
It often comes down to cost, and it really does. And now that the prices are coming down, people are not just going, oh, a nice LED screen here would be good for a little bit of digital signage, or we can get a DV LED system and really put on a show.
Mm-hmm. I think there is going to be the case for the LCD for quite a while.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
But DV LED is suddenly getting a lot more attractive and within reach. And what I find interesting about TV LED is that you're going to see it in a lot more places than you thought you would. So,
My home,
right.
by the way.
Absent, if you're listening, she wants a demo room. So just, a curve, talk to her. It's gonna be fabulous. We got one more trend. And that's my trend. As the guy who used to come to Infocom and go to the projector showcase, I've officially dated myself. Projectors, baby. But the big models are getting smaller, which is what's interesting because people like, I looked at 20,000 lumen projectors and higher from people like Panasonic and Epson and Christie. These suckers used to break your back when you were trying to install them. And now, well, I mean, you still got to be careful.
Well, no, you would always need 2, sometimes 3 people to install these.
They were enormous.
Yeah.
And now they're reasonably sized. It's no longer about look at this enormous projector. It's look at this enormous picture from this not so enormous projector.
Right. Bigger lumens, smaller chassis.
Right, and yet they're still rugged. Everybody, I don't want you to think, how'd they make them smaller? They made them out of the cheapest plastic. No. These things are still ruggedized. They're ready for live events. They're ready for rental and staging, but they are significantly smaller and lighter than they have been before. And a lot of them are using, in fact, I think most of them at this point are using laser technology, which makes it interesting. They either DLP or 3LCD. And I mean, the pictures that I was seeing on the show floor, they look pretty amazing to me.
And that really opens up a lot of possibilities for, I mean, of course, live events, right? And a live event, if you're going to put it up and down every day, that installation process is really important, that it's as quick as possible, but accurate. Yes. We've seen in the technology in these projectors, the blending is becoming really, truly automatic. I've saw a couple where they knocked them way out of place and they came back automatically by with the built-in software. Really cool.
The software is it's really powerful these days. Where I saw a demo like that too, where he went, let me just knock this one out of alignment. Give me 2 minutes. I'll press this button. It'll fix itself.
Right. Yeah.
And it did.
Yep.
I was a non-believer, and then I saw the light. Yeah. See what I did there?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, we're loaded with them, folks. It's fine. So that's just some of the things we saw here. There's plenty more to see and plenty more to talk about, but I think we're going to call it a day.
We are going to
get back on the floor.
And I've got to get some of that paella.
Oh, so good. Thank you all for joining us, and we will talk to you again soon. Mark Pescatore from System Contractor News and Cindy Davis from AV Technology.
Thanks, Mark.
Bye-bye.